Hello everyone and welcome to Call of Duty Modern Warfare Season 6. So of course guys, if you didn't already know, last night at the time me making this video, Modern Warfare Update 1.27 did officially go live. And of course Update 1.27 officially introduced Modern Warfare Season 6, which is of course going to be the final season of Call of Duty Modern Warfare. And with all that said, what I'm going to be doing in this one is going over the absolute best controller settings for the brand new season. And with that said, if you guys go on to enjoy this video, as well as if you guys are hyped for Modern Warfare Season 6, make sure to leave a like on it down below, as well as make sure to subscribe for all the latest and greatest Call of Duty news as well as videos. So with all that said, now that I got the intro out of the way, let's actually dive right into it. And alright guys, as you can see, of course we are in the controller settings of Modern Warfare, and without further ado, let's actually dive right into it. So of course, starting off, I'm going to be talking a little bit about the button layout, and personally I would recommend either stick and move or tactical. Now of course, starting off with stick and move is going to be doing, and as it will be swapping out the X button for the R3 button, which will allow you to aim down sight, shoot, as well as aim at the same time, which is extremely useful and will give you a competitive advantage when you are going to be playing Modern Warfare multiplayer as well as Warzone. Alternatively, you guys could be using tactical, which is going to be doing a very similar thing, being that we'll be swapping out the circle button for the R3 button, allowing you to aim down sight, shoot, as well as allow you to go into the crouch and prone position all at the same time. And this, similar to stick and move, will be able to improve your movement around the map as well as give you a competitive advantage. Now personally, I like to use stick and move. However, before I was using stick and move, I used tactical profusely, so that's how come personally I would recommend either stick and move or tactical. Of course, moving down, I am going to be talking a little bit about sensitivity, and personally I like to use a 7.7 sensitivity. However, recently I've actually been experimenting and trying out a 9.9 as well as a 10.10 sensitivity. And yeah, I've mentioned this before when it comes to best settings videos for Modern Warfare as well as Cold War, and that is, if you are going to be picking a sensitivity, it really just comes down to you. There is no magic sensitivity that is going to be working for everyone, and it really just comes down to what you are comfortable with. Now of course, you don't want to use a sensitivity that is too slow, so you're gonna have issues turning corners and all that, but you also don't want to use a sensitivity that is too high, so that means your aim is all over the place and you can't hit anything. So when it comes to picking a sensitivity, what I would recommend is start out with a base sensitivity, let's say a 4 or 5 sensitivity, which is usually standard for most Call of Duty games, and give that a try, then move up, and then try, let's say, a 6.6 sensitivity, then a 7.7, then an 8.8, and really just find out what's comfortable for you. Now overall, a higher sensitivity is better because it allows you to be more precise. However, I'm not saying to crank up your sensitivity all the way to 20, because that's not going to be doing you any good, because of course you won't be aiming at all. But really just play with the sensitivities and try to find one that really works for you. Now, at least for myself, that is a 7.7 sensitivity, so if you want to go ahead and give that one a try, feel free to do so, of course. And moving on, I want to talk a little bit about the aim response curve type, which I will be using linear. Now, of course, if you were to boot up Modern Warfare or Warzone for the first time, your aim response curve type is going to be standard, which, as it says, standard is a simple power curve map from aim stick to aim rate, and then linear is of course what I use, and as the aim stick maps directly to aim rate. And what that means, and that's if you are going to be using linear, it's going to make aiming feel a lot more smooth. And I noticed that when I switch from standard to linear, it's a lot easier to track opponents, so that's why personally I would recommend it. And then moving on, of course, talking a little bit about controller vibration. I know a lot of people like to keep it disabled because of course with your controller shaking a little bit, it will be slightly harder to aim. However, personally I like to keep it enabled just because I like the more tactile feedback of it. But when it comes to controller vibration, it really just depends on you if you want to keep it disabled or if you want to enable it. Now moving down and talking about some of the other settings, I'm going to be keeping them default, except for this one right at the bottom, which is of course parachute auto deploy, which of course is only available for ground war as well as Warzone. Naturally, you're not going to be deploying parachutes in standard domination or TDM. However, this particular setting is extremely useful, and as what will be happening is once you get too close to the ground, your parachute will be auto deploying, which is extremely useful, so you don't have to worry about face planting into the ground, and that's why personally I like to keep it enabled. Moving over, let's talk a little bit about the general settings, and of course over here you can change your input device if you are going to be using either controller or keyboard and mouse, and of course as you guys can see over here, I will be using controller. And when it comes to a lot of these settings, it really just depends on your TV or monitor. For example, the brightness, the safe area, as well as the film grain, it really just depends on the screen that you are going to be playing on. However, there are these two settings over here that I will be changing, and as world motion blur as well as weapon motion blur. Of course, as you guys can see over here, this is weapon motion blur as well as this is world motion blur, and personally I'm going to be disabling both of them. You guys don't want motion blur, and there are a couple reasons why. First of all, if you are going to be disabling motion blur, it's going to make everything look a lot more crisp, because when you turn naturally, you're not going to have the entire game just go blurry. And another reason to keep this disabled, and that's for a competitive advantage. Of course, if you are going to be scanning the map in Warzone, if you have motion blur enabled, you might not see an enemy in the distance because of course the map is going to be blurry. So that's how come I'm going to be disabling both world motion blur as well enables weapon motion blur, I would highly recommend that you guys do as well. And of course, the final setting that I am going to be talking about in today's video, and that's going to be the minimap shape. Now, of course, as you guys can see over here, there are two different minimap settings, and that's either round or square. And personally, I would recommend square, and that's just because you are going to be getting a lot more coverage, allowing you to see a lot more of the map, which is extremely useful. So that's how come I would highly recommend that you switch over from using the standard round minimap, which is default in this game, to using the square minimap. So yeah, guys, that's gonna effectively conclude my first ever video on Modern Warfare Season 6. I hope you guys went on to enjoy it, and if you did, don't forget to leave a like on it down below. Also, make sure to subscribe and turn on post notifications so that way you guys will not miss new upload from me. So yeah, once again, that's gonna wrap up today's video. I'm your host, Deeper Jungle. I hope to see you in the next one.